The story on how I got kidnapped, as told by Morgan D. and Junior's Hack. It's been a really long time, so bear with me on the details because I could be making this whole entire thing up based on my memory. The story begins, I was 18 years old and I was living in Alma, Arkansas. I was with my boyfriend at the time and we lived in this really big, like 18 room, 3-story office building behind his grandparents' house. And we used to call it the Amityville Horror House because, I mean, it looks just like it. It was super creepy, massive, and we would have parties every single weekend. Like 50 plus people would come in. And so it ended up being called the Drunk House, which, another funny story, it got misconstrued in the telephone game and started being called the Drug House, and we got in trouble for that. But it was the Drunk House. So I'm 18 and I decide that I'm going to go get alcohol because I'm cocky and I think I can do whatever I want, especially when I was 18. So my friend and I head out onto the journey of we're going to go stand out in front of the liquor store. I don't know what we were thinking, and just maybe ask somebody to get us alcohol. So before we go, because we have to go to Fort Smith to get alcohol, we stop at a gas station and we're getting cigarettes, I can only assume. We get back in the car and we're about to leave, and then this silver car pulls up like right behind our car and starts honking. And I'm like, Troy, do you know him? And he's like, no. And so we get out, and behind us in the car is just this really big black guy. And he's looking at us and honking the horn. And we're like, what do you want? What? So I go up to the window. I was like, can I help you? And he's like, I'm drunk and I need to get to the airport in Little Rock because I have to go do something with his daughter. He kept mentioning his daughter. He kept mentioning that he was drunk and that he needed us to drive him to the airport in Little Rock. Now, mind you, Little Rock is like an hour and a half easily, maybe 2 hours to 2.5 hours from where we're at. And just leave the car there, or you can bring my car back to your house. You know, I can email you the address, or see, it sounds so dumb to me now that I can't even like remember. But basically, he wanted us to get him to the airport with his car, either leave his car or bring his car back to our house. We give him the address. When he flies back in, he will come get his car. And we're looking at each other, and I don't know how the conversation went. I don't know if we got back in the car to contemplate this ridiculous plan, but we come up with a plan that we will get into his car with him, drive him to Little Rock, drive his car back, leave it at the house, and he said he was going to pay us $100 and go buy us that alcohol that we were looking for. All right. So naive, little miss, everything is fine. There's so many loving people in this world. Nothing's going to happen to me type person here. And my friend Troy get into this man's car. We drive our car back to our house. And I tell my boyfriend at the time the plan. And he probably called me an idiot, but as my dad says, Morgan does what Morgan wants. So we get in this man's car, this big old stranger that we don't know from Adam, in his car. And so we go to Fort Smith because we're going to go to the liquor store first because I wanted some type of payment beforehand. Even though he hadn't handed us the 100, he came up with some reason why he wasn't going to pay us the 100 right then. I can't remember, but I'm going to get my alcohol. Y'all know me and my alcohol. So we get to the liquor store, and this is where the first red flag starts to go. We get to the liquor store, and we are in line. We've already ordered the alcohol, and he's getting out of the car, like opening the trunk. He can't find his ID all of a sudden. And so after a little more searching or whatever, we find out that he doesn't have his ID on him, and so we just go on our way. We'll just get the 100 from him, and then we'll do our original plan. Okay, this is like 10 p.m. at night, by the way, you guys, basically. So we go on our merry way to Little Rock, and I don't remember details, you guys, on the trip because it's a really long trip, but we progressively started getting more and more worried as the trip went on. Troy was driving, this man was sitting in the passenger seat, and I was in the back. And I remember him mentioning something like he had a gun, and it wasn't like aggressive, but it slowly became aggressive. Once we started, it was all fine and dandy, and then the closer we got to Little Rock, the more aggressive he became. Well, he starts talking about how he's in a fight with his girlfriend, and he wants me to text his girlfriend and act like one of his friends or something and try to see if I can reason with her. Okay, that's what I'm good at. I'm good at talking to people, sure. So I pull out my little BlackBerry, tinking a little away. I message this woman, and all of a sudden I start getting blown up. Where is he? Where is he? Blah blah. In my car, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, whoa, wait, hold your horses. Hold your horses. What do you mean your car? And she's like, bitch, you fucking know what I'm talking about. You're his friend, blah blah blah. I was like, no, wait, backtrack. I started explaining the situation to her, guys, and she didn't believe me. She's like, what type of people would get in a car with a big black man that you've never seen before in your life? Like, he's dangerous. What are you doing, crazy white girl? And she was white too, but she liked to just call me crazy white girl, okay? Which I was, all right? So, just me being the loving person, I just wanted to get this man safely, I was just blown away. So I start talking to her more, and I'm telling him, like, oh, it's going good. I'm kind of relaying back and forth his message to her and her message to him. But finally, I convinced her that I was telling the truth, that I am in this man's car on the way to Little Rock because he wanted a ride. She said, that is not his car, honey. That is my car. It's reported stolen, and it's been stolen for, a day or so. That's my car. And I was like, okay, help. How do we get out of this situation? Because he's progressively getting more and more agitated. And and this is going the whole ride. Like, I'm kind of communicating with her, and I'm really just kind of telling him, like, no, I got it. We're discussing you. She's telling me issues. I'm really just trying to judge the situation. I'm helping you out, brah. But in actuality, she had already called the cops. She had told them that we were in the car with him, that he's extremely dangerous, and that he has stolen her car, and that they need to be on the lookout. So this is when the moment that, in the eyes of law enforcement, we are technically now kidnapped, because we had mentioned that we were, not comfortable, that we maybe were kind of wanting to be, done with this. We could take him to the closest place. He can just drop us off, and we can go along our merry way, and he would not allow us. He, at this point, I think, started mentioning the gun aggressively, but I don't remember ever seeing a gun. I maybe saw a knife, but I don't remember seeing a gun. And I'm not too horribly worried at this point, because I can kind of talk myself out of anything, and I'm in cahoots with her. But there was points that I really thought that he was going to take my phone, but he never did. He never looked at my phone. He just kind of trusted enough what I was doing, because at one point he told me, if I hear you click-clacking on that phone one more time again, I'm going to shoot you in the face. But I couldn't stop, because I had to tell her where we're going. I had to update her on where we were at the time, and so I had to risk my life as far as I knew, and I had to keep texting her. So we stop for the first time. We stop at a Waffle House in Little Rock, or it might have been Conway, or one of the two. It's probably Little Rock because Conway's past Little Rock. And there we are. Troy and I sitting in the man's car, and he had to go to the bathroom, and he left the car. He threatened us, if we leave, I will find you. I will find your address. I will come and I will kill you in the middle of the night. Like, don't leave. And we didn't, you guys. We didn't leave. We sat there contemplating leaving, but we're such chicken shits. We sat there and waited until this extremely aggressive man threatening to shoot us gets back in the car, and we go again on our merry little way. What the hell? What the hell? Okay? So, you always wonder how you're going to act in certain situations, and I'm pretty level-headed and cool, but apparently I will not run. Okay? Somebody would probably tie me up in a car and be like, you sit here, and could leave the doors unlocked, and I'd probably sit there for quite a bit. Like, yes, sir. What do you need from me? I'll do it. I can talk my way out of it, but I'm too afraid to run, apparently. So moving on, we get back in the car, and we head out. Once we got in the middle of downtown Little Rock, I'm assuming it was like 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. And there were people everywhere. They were just, crackheads, guys. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and they were everywhere, and we were in the middle of a really scary part of town because he kept reminding us that we were in a really scary part of town. So, I think at this point, he finds out that I know that the car's stolen because I let him know. I gave him the information that I thought I could use, and I let him know. I was like, she just let me know that she has reported the car stolen, and we need to switch cars. Because I don't remember why, but I remember it was a good idea. So he kept saying, okay, I've got a caddy at this house. We'll just go. We'll switch the cars out. We'll get this caddy, blah, blah, blah. Which now that I'm thinking is a really bad idea. But I had a plan for some reason. I just owe this guy some money, and he's holding my caddy for me. We'll get that, whatever. And we kept believing him because we had no other option. But after driving around forever, we finally pull into this sketchy ass house. Pull in the driveway. And he's like, no, you can't go in there because I'll shoot you if you go in there. He's like, but I'm gonna go get the keys to the caddy, and then, no, I think he was gonna take the car and he was gonna give us another car. I think that's how it worked out. Like, he was gonna give us the keys to another car so we can escape, or we were gonna have the car, just explain to the cops he disappeared. But I think I worked it out to where we was gonna have 2 separate cars. So we finally get to this house. I just gotta pay him, and I'll get the caddy. This is when he turns around to the back seat and demands that I give him all the money that I have. So now, 100%, definitely not getting paid for this by any means. I had to give him all the cash. At first I told him, I was like, I don't have any. Liar. And I was like, oh, well, I'll only have a 20. And so I think I only ended up giving him a 20, and then Troy didn't have any, like, legitly. And so this man took my money and went into the house. So once again, we are alone in the car to where we could drive away, but we're in an even more sketchy part of town, and we're scared. So we sit and we wait because we're idiots. And when he got back, he was 10 times more dangerous, aggressive, and paranoid than when he went in. And that is because he went and bought crack. He went and bought himself a whole bunch of crack with my money and whatever money he had, and was paranoid. So we are in the middle of downtown Little Rock, stopped at a stop sign, and now all of a sudden he thinks we are cops. He thinks we're cops. And I think he's driving at this point, because I think Troy's in the passenger seat and I'm in the back still. And he said, how do I know that y'all aren't cops? I was like, you found us, first off. We had a whole thing going, and you found us, and we were just trying to help you. Like, we're obviously not cops, There would have been a really big stream of events there to work out. You know, I'm not a cop. And he's like, well, I'm going to need y'all to prove it because I don't believe you. So this is when the story transitions to the first time and only time that Morgan smoked crack. Yes, he pulled out, well, I didn't inhale. I didn't, because I have to keep my wits end about me. I have to keep my mind about me. That's my biggest tool. But he pulled out a crack pipe and a lighter and said, if you're not cops, you will smoke this. And if you do not, I will kick you out and you'll be dead in less than 20 minutes in this part of town. Being little white girl, especially you, and a little white boy being you, you know. Like, he was really threatening that that's how bad of a place we were in, that you won't even get out of town, you know, out of this little thing without being shot, raped, killed. Which was manipulation, of course, but I calculated it's probably safer being in the car with him than wandering the streets out there with everybody else, you know, 20 of him. So he gives it to Troy hits it, he gives it to me, I hit it, but I don't inhale because I cannot. At that point, I had tried meth once when I was 17, and it, like, I was like, I'm not high, what are you talking about? But my skin's smoking, is that a symptom? You know, so like I didn't want to touch that again. I didn't want to do anything. I knew that I couldn't keep my wits in about me, so I did inhale. I blew it out, and so he finally believed us, I guess. So now I don't remember. Well, okay. So now I've been talking to her this time, and we've come up with a plan. And our plan is to convince him that I have talked her down, and that she just wants to talk to him. So what she did is she called on my phone and talked to him. She's like, babe, you know, like, this is ridiculous. You know, Morgan, you know, it really explained, you know, a lot of things to me, how you were feeling, because he was talking to me too. Whatever. You know, just come back to the house. Just come back to the house. Let's talk about this. We'll get those kids a taxi. You know, we'll get them out of the way. Let's just talk about this and make up. You know, I've called everything off. You know, like, I just really want to talk to you. And he didn't believe it at first, but eventually he did. He believed her, and I kept going with it, and we ended up convincing him to go to her house where the cops were waiting. So we pull up, and somehow I you know, got us out of it. I had talked my way and figured out a way to get us out of it, because as soon as we pulled up, the cops surrounded the car. He did jump out of the car, and he did run. And I think he did escape. But the cops picked us up. At that point, he threw the pipe and the crack into Troy's hand, and Troy, out of sheer whatever, got scared that the cops were there, so he proceeded to eat all the crack. Lord help us! Lord help us! He ate all the crack. So he was feeling pretty good by the end of the night. So the cops offered to drive us somewhere. You know, do we have family? Whatever. And Troy happened to have family in Conway. So they dropped us off somewhere. We met up with his family. We went over to their house. We're just drained. We're tired. And it ended up being a 24-hour ordeal. We left around 10, and we did not get home until about 10 p.m. the next day. So I was terrified for quite a while because he did have my address. Before he went crazy, we gave him our address to the house so that he could come get his car. And I was so afraid that him and all his cracked out friends were going to bust through the glass door that we have at bottom and kill us in our sleep. And so that is the story of the time that I was kidnapped at 18 years old. Yeah, I don't even know how to sign off from that. It's funny now, probably because I've lost a lot of details. I don't remember, you know, the feeling of fear. I just remember the feeling of I've got to get us out of this. And there's been many situations in my life to where I had to get us out of it. Troy seemed to be just a magnet for stuff like that, because there's several sketchy situations that I went through with him. But that's that. And if you guys would like to hear any more of my crazy stories, because I have an entire book of them, let me know in the comments below. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. I'm much smarter nowadays, I promise. Peace.